Okay, that should be better. Where were we? Where were we?
It took me 10 years to find the answers out there. I forgot about it in 2 seconds. I don't have anything that's really important to me. That's why everything is spiritual. There it is, okay. Okay. So on the first one, I gotta block. I see what we need to do. Huh.
We've got a newcomer. Are you ready? Here comes Daredevil! Mankind knew that they cannot change. Duel 1. Let's rock!
I was, and then I just wasn't in the mood to try new. I think trying new is gonna be like a lunchtime situation. Is this the same one with the fucking lag?
Slap!
So it's a new one with lag?
Let's rock!
遅いです。それもらいます。重いです。行きます。遅いです。戦術を頼みます。抜けた。はい。センター。
Duel 1. Let's rock.
Oh my god. I'm out of it right now. I think it's... We might be done for the night. Yeah, this might be the last match.
動かないで。ゾクゾクしちゃう。
Slap. Duel 2. Let's rock.
遅いです。
I thought that wasn't neutral. That's not my fault.
重いです。ダメ、ここはイグアスじゃないんだよ。
Duel 1. Let's rock.
シュッと投げますね。遅いです。
Slap. Duel 2. Let's rock.
まあ
Duel 3. Let's rock.
またお相手してる。
All right. React time? You know what? Let's actually... It's only 11:30. Let's get a couple in. Let's get a couple more.
Welcome. Are Are you ready?
Let's Skeeter Ray again. Yeah, this guy wants the free wins again.
Mankind. Duel 1. Let's rock.
静寂を保つ。遅いです。上です。すみません。行きます。静かに。行きません。
Duel 2. Let's rock.
Counter. 遅いです。無用心。上です。行きます。風への水。めんどくさいな。
Duel 3. Let's rock.
すみません。重いです。すみません。行きます。風への水。
Nothing better than watching your burst fill out while it was X'd out.
ジャガーに毛が生
Duel 1. Let's rock.
静かに。無用心。遅いです。結構強い。
I mean, if he doesn't want to block, he doesn't want to block. I get it.
Duel 2. Let's rock.
全然
Ooh, well played, sir. What can you do twice?
風への水。
So.
Duel 3.
Fine.
Let's rock.
上です。遅いです。遅いです。無用心。
Slap.
He doesn't like it when they didn't like it when I stroked him.
ブリッジくらいにはな
Mankind. Duel 1. Let's rock.
どう口がうるさい口がうるさい
重いです。すみません。遅いです。上です。行き きます。静寂を保つ。上です。さて。どう？こっちがうるさい。こっちがうるさい。さて、
Slap. Duel 2. Let's rock.
Shows it a weird weakness,
投げ
sir.
ますね。不用心。帰れる。
Slap.
Thanks.
素敵なファルセットだった。
They like the way it looks.
Are you ready?
Alright.
Duel
How
1.
consistent are they about their start?
Let's rock.
すいません。遅いです。重いです。少し。笑います。
Too early.
重いですよ。こっちが大きい。狙います。ベンザール。我慢しなくていい。遅いです。
Slap. Duel 2. Let's rock.
ちょっといいですか。遅いです。結構強い。
Duel 3. Let's rock.
重いです。
Too early.
上です。遅いです。不用心です。片付けます。
Slap.
またお相手して。
Duel 1. Let's rock.
不用心です。あります。
Slap. Duel 1. Let's rock.
すみませんね。シュッと。
Got this man's number on speed dial. Fuck, Slash, you're gonna kill me here. Fucking 6Ps are chaos. Did I do it too? No, I didn't. I went to pick up this time.
Slap. Duel 2. Let's rock.
重いですね。シュッと全然そう感じ。狙うまですみませんね。遅いです。さて、シュッと。
Well,
風への道。違うですか。わからない。シュッと。違う。まずすみませんね。リーダーチ。
Slap. Duel 3. Let's rock.
ooh.
重いですね。
Damn.
Slap.
Oh well.
まあね、ジャガーに毛が生えた程度だったけど。
Okay. That is going to be where we ended. We ended yeah, 2-1 on that one after going 1 and 2. So hit that button for now. Put the third close game. All right. Now, you and I had started talking about the Capcom license thing, and there's already a good video about it from our man Maximilian. We're gonna start with that. Yeah, it was really good on almost 50 games. We were 28 and 20, so 48 games in total, 48 matches in total. I had a little bit of a bad streak, but like I started off real hot. Not gonna. All right, get this up there. Boom. Okay, so the Capcom thing. Since we're on fighting game mode, right? Let's let Maximilian kind of bring it up, and we'll do the usual, interrupt with our own little bits and pieces from it as we go. So let's go. And yes, you have to enjoy his opening sequence because it is absolutely beautiful.
First and foremost, there's already been some interesting stuff in regards to news from Capcom and like tournament structure and stuff like that, like how Capcom is structuring their tournaments for Street Fighter V, and this is presumably I feel like the reason this is here is so that they can establish this, right? The whole reason there's this weird fiasco of like tournament guidelines and sort of like third-party management of their product is to establish a sort of like rule set, if not moving forward progression of how things will be managed and handled by Capcom for their properties in regards to tournaments, you know? Because, long story short, there's a new Capcom fighting game around the horizon. We don't know exactly when it comes out, but if they lay down the groundwork of this stuff, then this makes a lot of sense why they're sort of setting these guidelines and specific rules. Is this in prep for Street Fighter 6? I'm saying yes. I'm saying that yes, this is, in my opinion, this makes a lot of sense that this is being announced now in comparison to when because Street Fighter 6 was announced, and they're essentially establishing the road work of where they are going to be moving in terms of like community brand management and esports and community esports and stuff like that. And it didn't go well. So long story short, let's look at.
It went over like a fart in church. Yeah, exactly. They're kind of they're hitting the ground running. Like they're looking at Street Fighter 6 kind of like how they wanted to look at Street Fighter 5 right out of the gates as an esport.
Let's look at Exhibit A. Capcom yesterday announced this, that they're calling all tournament organizers to check out their new community licensing agreement for running events and Street Fighter 5 CE. It covers everything you need to know about one easy reference space, and oh boy, it is a doozy. Oh man, ooh, I am still scrolling. It's a doozy, going all the way over to proper brand logo management and all that kind of stuff, right? Like a whole bunch of stuff in here. And even if we quickly scroll by, we can talk about like licensing reasons, because yes, you do need to, if you run like tournament events for games, this happened not even that long ago with Bandai Namco, right? Where Bandai Namco was getting on people's cases about either Tekken or Dragon Ball Fighters, and that you had to have the licensing approval for those games in order to run tournaments with them, or else they can essentially shut it all down. Don't get me wrong, this is absolutely within these companies' ability to do so. It is their game. If people are,
And I'm gonna kind of add to this is, we stream video games, and that's at that's at the allotment of the people who make the games. They kind of turn around and go, okay, well, it's getting more eyes on the game. More people are likely to buy it if they see people playing it and enjoying it. So stream away. But at any time, like the video game industry as a whole could just be like, we're shutting this down, and Twitch is just done for. And YouTube, a good portion of YouTube will be done for. Not most of YouTube. YouTube has actually gone beyond that, and there's a lot of people standing in front of cameras. So yeah, like the video game industry is at their whim. They shouldn't, and they likely won't at this point. Some games may, here and there. They'll be outliers more than the fact. But yeah, to be honest, it's their right, whether or not they exercise it. Yeah, exactly.
Then it is what it is. There's a lot in here to gather, and it's probably not a good idea for us as regular humans to go over stuff like this. So we will consult the guidance of a lawyer, Ultra David, who is a copyright lawyer, has helped me on a variety of things throughout the years. And he is an avid fighting game aficionado and a Street Fighter fan for practically life, right? So
Yeah,
he was able to go-
I love that. Like, he was like, "This is the nonsense. If you try to read it, you'll get a headache." Honestly, if you're not a lawyer, because lawyers are clearly paid by the word. But you know, having a lawyer kind of also handy to turn around and be like, "Okay, this is what you need to know."
go through this stuff and sort of break down with a professional eye what exactly is going on. And to boil it down, he gave us like a couple of top points that sort of give us an idea of what this even is. So let's go over this one by one, because there's only like 6 or so here that really affect the overall situation. All tournaments, regardless of size, have to get a license from Capcom, either by satisfying and agreeing to the tournament community license or by getting a separate esports license. And to qualify for the community license, a total event prize pool and revenue from sponsors must be under thresholds, and many existing events.
I'm pausing on the threshold thing. I hate the idea of a pricing threshold to get your license. and I might have to explain later, but just keep that in your head. It's like that's my most hated part of this.
Events will likely go over. So there's like different brackets and categories to how big your tournament is or how small it is, and the qualification for each one is a bit different. This is kind of, see, in a way, some things in here already, this seems like this might be bad news, but it actually kind of is good news, because if it's a smaller event, they can just go, okay, yeah, sure. Seemingly, if that happens quickly, if that's a throughput that happens fast, and it's just like, hey, we want to run a Street Fighter V tournament. There's only so many people. It's not going to be that big. Is that fine? That we can actually, like, you know, market it and stuff like that. And Capcom goes, sure. Here's our logo. Here's the guidelines. Have fun. Right? And then that kind of makes sense. It could sort of just make that process go fast, but I don't know if it's going to be like that. And that's the weird part about this whole situation. Number 3.
Right. So, kind of add on to that. It's the question of, and we have this as an example, Magic the Gathering and tabletop game tournaments that I play. Like, that's tournament sequence where you just go and there is almost no headache for running a tournament, right? I go to my local game store on a Friday, and we play Friday Night Magic, or, you know, for a better version, HeroClix, the other game, the miniatures game I play. Their tournament organization is super easy. I'm running a local tournament. I put it on The Win, which is their WizKids information network. You show up. GG. Right? And that's like me running at a local game store. I'm not running Canadian Nationals, so I'm not going to be able to tell you the nightmare it is to actually set that up. I'm not running World Championships. That's WizKids themselves that run that in that situation. So, you know, when it comes to that kind of local area tournament, how quickly am I just going to be like, yo, I'm running like a 24-man tournament. Can I get a thumbs up license? If they're just like, yeah, sure, go ahead with that, this should be no problem. But if it's the exact same amount of waiting for my 24-man tournament that's really not going for anything at my local rec center, and they're running, meanwhile, like 300, 400 people for a major, I understand them getting a little bit of a waiting thing and the extra streaming and everything like that and all the setup that they have to do. I feel that, you know, there should be a difference between the two as far as that's concerned.
Can't charge spectator fees or sell merchandise based on Street Fighter V names, logos, and art. So, damn, I already have... Is Artist Alley canceled? Does that mean that Artist Alley is just canceled? Wow. No merch at all. I'm pretty sure it does. No logos, no names, no art. It doesn't say characters, right? It doesn't specifically say that you can't charge spectator fees or sell merchandise based on Street Fighter V names, logos, and art. You know what I think? Actually, this is not Artist Alley. If you read this, it's not Artist Alley. Fan art's fine. You just...
To clarify, he just saw the wording. Tournament organizers can't charge a spectator fee, ouch, or sell merchandise based on Street Fighter names, logos, and art. The tournament organizers can't. Tournament organizers can hire a bunch of artists. The Artist Alley can be fine. But, yeah, exactly. Well, again, it's the tournament organizers. So let's say the tournament organizers, the guys who are running the tournament, turn around and just be like, yo, thanks for entering. For an extra $20, you get our t-shirt. And that t-shirt says Street Fighter V on it. In their logo and font. You got a problem, right? But if they're like, yeah, we got booths in the back if you want to set up an Artist Alley during a major tournament, go check out what these guys are drawing and or, you know, what kind of cool Street Fighter shit that you can get over there. That's fine. Because they're not the tournament organizers. They are more participants in that.
Can't sell things that have the official Street Fighter V logo on them. Or organizers specifically can't like make a Street Fighter V shirt. So this is, if you read this closely, this is very specific, and it says tournament organizers. So fan art and stuff like that is fine. That is absolutely officially fine. This is the weird thing when it comes to all this stuff, is that it all comes across as very aggressive. When a lot of the guys that I've heard from the Capcom side say they're trying to like alleviate some of the processes of getting approval for these tournaments. So they're just like coming up with these sort of guidelines that establish that. And they're like, this will make it quicker. But instead it comes across as something much different. Capcom gets the rights to use stream footage or any photos or videos from the tournament. I think that's completely fair. It's their
Nothing
game,
we can do
It's
about
your
that.
game. Yeah. TOs can use an asset pack from Capcom for advertise the event using their style guidelines. Right. Okay. And this only applies to TOs in North America, South America, are different. Licensing applies to Europe, Middle East.
Most of this is the same as any other esports organization working with like Ubisoft for Rainbow Six or a lot of that is.
Okay. So yeah, and here's the breakdown of how modern day tournaments essentially are run, like whether it's community tournaments or whatnot. In order to run a standard tournament, you make a bunch of copies of a game available to play and watch, which implicates the public performance. You set up a big screen where people can watch marquee matches. You broadcast the stream, upload VODs, and it can have overlays and commentators, yada yada yada. I'm skimming over some of the backstories behind these examples for the sake of brevity, and suffice to say that if the copyright owner in any video game wants to shut down a tournament, they don't lack the ways to do it. We were just saying that. Basically, video game rights holders are the rulers of their little copyright fiefdoms. That's a new word for me. And the rest of us who want to play and work with their borders have little choice but to abide their rules. They're
Your own little
absolutely right.
hamlet-like
At any
kingdom.
point, if I'm streaming any kind of game of any kind, and somebody doesn't like me streaming that game of any kind, they can take me down, and I don't really have much to say about it, right? Like objectively, there's more of like a general blanket of like okayness from a lot of these companies in regards to this stuff. The really crazy part that I think a lot of people are getting upset about is the community event stuff. So for individual events, if there's a prize pool smaller than $2,000 and a sponsorship revenue less than $5,000, so that's what constitutes a community event. So $2,000 prize pool. So if it was like, what is that, $20 per person, and if you had like 100 entrants, right, that would essentially be over. Or just about over, right? For any TO in the 12-month period, have a total prize pool less than $10,000 and total sponsorships revenues less than $20,000. Okay, so if there's weeklies that get decent amounts of people that show up, even if you have like 30 people, every single week, those prize pools are definitely going to equal over $10,000, right? Most.
So if you're running a small tournament, don't be successful. Or cap your tournament prize. Like that's the best option you got in this, right? This gets
likely depending on what your entry.
And here's the thing that kills me. Okay, and this is the thing that bothers me about it. For individual events to have a prize pool smaller than $2,000 and sponsorship revenue less than $5,000. That is Capcom saying, look, we don't want to spend a lot of money on our big, because they'll have a big Capcom World Championship, I think. But they don't want to spend a lot of money.
Fee is. So if the
that's
prize
what
pool
gets me
announced
about
in
it.
advance what the pool is, or at least to say how it will be calculated. Don't sell merchandise, as the same before. Don't charge fee to spectators to participate, which is a little ambiguous. What does this apply to? For an individual event, the $2,000 prize pool restriction comes up with any tournament with 200 plus entrants at $10 a fee. A breakdown of like how this is different between smaller events like CEO and Combo Breaker, and they surely have at least that many. And whenever the next Evo happens, they will have many more. Pre-COVID events like Frosty and all these exceed or got close to that threshold. I suspect that all those events likely ran afoul to the $5,000 sponsorship limitation. Yeah, so you can't have sponsorship revenue that gets more than that. I'm curious what Capcom takes as a result of it, right? For TOs running multiple events, Winter Brawl and all of these, where they don't meet the $2,000 limit for one event, they may meet the $10,000 prize pool limit or $20,000 sponsorship limit. These yearly requirements may also be a problem for popular weeklies, which we just talked about, like NLBC. But then, that's true. You got things like Matcherino, sponsorship revenue, prize pool money. And in addition, just about every major and local have spectator fees in some form. If I'm right, I'm reading that Capcom's rules ban spectator fees in general, and not many events in our community would be considered community events. Wow. So this is specifically just the community stuff, right? And then you actually get into the esports side of stuff. What will licenses look like? This is like getting in a situation where you're abiding by all these guidelines, right? And then you actually get to the big esports stuff. Even he doesn't know. He hasn't seen any recent licensing agreements between Capcom or any events to consider to be esports. Yeah, like I'm thinking outside of Japan. What big esports initiative does Capcom have an association with? And I don't know. I don't know why they would go get like an esports license from Capcom or what that would even qualify.
Like,
I'm starting to think
even
what the heck
Evo.
that is. Maybe Evo, but Evo's technically community run. But I would imagine not anymore because it is Red Bull Kumite. Good call. Because it is now run by Sony. So that might be a different situation. That could be a different situation now because it's not technically community run.
Okay, this is where things get a little wacky because CEO and Evo technically fall under the community events guideline, right? Which was what a lot of those limitations were. They aren't under esports yet, which is a little bit more of a direct relationship with Capcom. Now, Evo is run by Sony. I think Sony would be able to reasonably. That's what I heard. I don't know. Let me double check. Does Sony? Yeah, here it is. Evo Online 2021 will be held in mid-August. And oh yeah, Sony jointly acquired all of Evo with an esports venture called RTS. So it was 2021. And it was full-blown, it was bought, yeah. Not a bad relationship to have. But it is going to cause a little turmoil in some of the games and what. Depending on there's going to be a lot more negotiations to get things run on Evo, especially, and this is what a lot of people are saying they think caused Smash to be removed from Evo, is because of Sony, and Sony and Nintendo are competitors in Nintendo's eyes because Nintendo is run by currently running this by the second in command to the guy who recently died, and he's about 2 years younger than him. So
possible that Capcom has different licenses in mind for different events. Nothing in this law or the community license agreement says that Capcom has to treat all esports events the same. Maybe an event that is just barely too big a prize pot to the community gets an even relatively laid-back license that doesn't make sense for major demands. Maybe 2 or 3 large events get a license that costs them a huge amount of money. And I can't see for sure, of course. It's a common way of handling these things. Let me see David's take on why would they do this. One of the goals may be to protect their rights, which Capcom has been getting a bit aggressive with over the past couple years. Copyrights don't disappear if you defend them, but there are some situations where rights holders can lose some rights or have their rights weakened to avoid those outcomes. Disney's like the perfect example of this, where they like viceroy their rights. It's a common legal practice to make clear.
Is Illusion around? Because I'm gonna say I don't think it's gonna be the sandals anymore that gives Street Fighter 6 problems.
That you're being active in those who get to make what uses with your copyright works. In that case, requiring every TO to get a license makes it very clear that Capcom is being proactive with its rights. And once again, this lines up with about a year ago where Capcom had a big, like, not the Capcom Ambassador program, but like a proper, like, brand sort of like character licensing and rights agreement, right? That if you like stream Capcom games, you can
100% more locked in.
Agreeing to like these licensing rights and stuff like that. I don't know if you guys remember that from about a year ago.
It's a lot of it's very unnecessary too. Like,
stop making porn about our characters sort of thing that it seemed to be. In addition, bringing every TO into its orbit may allow Capcom to exercise additional control, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, but the community license requires TOs to enforce a code of conduct. In fact, hang on a second. Prohibited behavior. Excessive swearing and screaming.
Hold on. Has anybody seen an Evo pop-off? Hell, pools you can get pop-offs. Jesus.
Harassment or intimidation of any player. Okay. Physical or cyber violence. Okay. Collusion. All right. Cheating or any sort through any means. Okay. Interference with any infrastructure for the event, including gaming equipment or hardware. Okay. Intentionally delaying or slowing and manipulating gameplay. So Intentionally disconnecting network cables. Okay. Intentionally interrupting network connectivity. Okay. Disobeying or showing noticeable or disruptive dissent at the reasonable instructions or request. Oh, you don't agree with the rules? Fuck off. Okay. Players will adhere to all health and safety protocols, right? And all other known. So the one that comes off weird to me is this is broad, right? Threats, obviously, right? Swearing, obviously. In some situations, you just do not want to have people cursing, right? You want to be a family-friendly Street Fighter brand, but like these put together are very broad. Here's a situation that might or might not be bannable. If the crowd screams, it's over. The crowd screams? No, that's not okay. If I just put my arcade stick down and I leaned this way and I had just one top 8 and I go, ah! I do not win the prize pool and I'm out.
Yeah, what about the crowd? Hold on a second. One second.
Rare footage of Daigo actually angry.
Wait for it. Wait for it.
Now on the verge of putting Daigo down 1-0.
All of you disqualified. All of you. GTFO.
Unbelievable. Daigo with a full parry. Transformer with a combo and win. Evolution 2004. It's madness. It's unadulterated madness.
Done for.
Excessive swearing. Maybe you could scream once, maybe once, but the second time is considered excessive. Crowd gets a sticker. Here's the weird thing about all this like micromanagement is that a lot of it comes across as like, wait, like all these little things that collide and you don't know exactly what's possibly okay at tournaments anymore. While a lot of these other things are obviously fine, right? Like almost any of these other things outside of intentionally delaying or slowing. This is like, if you time out, you're gonna get banned, dude. Justin Wong would not have made it through the mid-2000s if that was the case. I'm almost kind of curious.
Justin Wong would barely have made it through several quarterfinal matches.
Thing. And with a lot, yeah, this is like almost to me, it seems like no turtling. What? Intentionally, right? Yeah, you're intentionally timer scamming.
That's like lag.
That's like the way you win, huh? It just means lag switch.
Yeah.
Oh, this is related to online. Gotcha. Capcom's within its rights to do this. He's totally right. Esports games like Blizzard and Riot have similar licensing structure for years. How do they handle the terms of what counts as a community event? And Blizzard has the exact same thing. They seem to be doing very similar but comparable things to companies like Blizzard, if not Riot. I'm wary of video game rights holders taking too much power from the community.
Can we compare the numbers Blizzard gave tournaments to work with? Blizzard was like, okay, you can't give away more than $10,000 per tournament with $50,000 per 12 months. Like, I get it.
Their games. My take on the history of esports is that it's
but
passionate
come on.
gamers who do the work to create an industry and then gets co-opted by rights holders once it's economically valuable.
Right.
If that's what's going on
Right.
here. I'm against it.
Yeah. So, who's done all this work to build these fighting game tournaments, the esports, and all that sort of thing? The guys that run these tournaments, you know? They're working their asses off to get these things run. And it ain't easy. I mean, we've seen some terrible goddamn tournament stories already, just courtesy of watching some of Coney's videos on this channel. So, you know. And, like, before these regulations, I mean, before Capcom even gave a shit. It was like, wait a second. They're doing what with their game? They're running tournaments? Did we think of that? You know what I mean? Like, arcades used to invest in multiple machines so that they could do that sometimes. But it was unheard of.
Here's my personal take on this situation, and this is more of a broad take, right? Like, this isn't just talking about the esports side of Capcom and how the Capcom esports brand has developed over the years, much less where community events are now, like all that kind of stuff. Here's my personal take on all this like insane micromanagement. From a spectator side, right? From somebody that does not actively look upon Street Fighter as being a competitive game that I have given an absolute two shits about for a very long time. I like to watch it every once in a while, essentially like once a year. But I mostly watch competitive tournaments and events for games that I'm actively playing, right? I actually like watching events and tournaments for games that I play like all the time or really want to get better at. So that has not happened to me with Street Fighter V since 2015, 2016. It's been a very long time, so I have not just followed up on it. However, it has been pretty obvious that the state of like viewership and overall Capcom esports brand awareness in general is only so big. It's not nearly as big as what it was with like Ultra Street Fighter 4, so it's already been like compromised in several ways because Street Fighter V was a game that severely damaged the Street Fighter brand in terms of its casual approach and audience. Because a lot of people would tune into tournaments for older Street Fighter games like Street Fighter 4 because they were similar to me. They just want to see people do really good so they can copy the really good stuff, if not try to emulate it. And it's fun to watch people compete in the game that you like the most. All I have to say is that it's really weird to start micromanaging all these smaller tournaments and events when it already doesn't feel like there's a ton of them anyway. It doesn't really feel like Street Fighter V is such a widely recognized, like, insane community / esports brand. It feels like it's mostly controlled in like the Capcom Fighters esports thing, which are already abiding to all of this stuff, right? Because it's their own thing. And it feels like it's weirdly trying to micromanage all these other folks that want to do something small and on the side if they just are passionate and want to build small communities or scenes or something like that, right? There's a weird anime convention in the middle of Albuquerque. I don't know, I'm making this shit up. And someone wants to host like a really quick Street Fighter event and they want to advertise the Street Fighter tournament at their event. Technically, you know, Capcom is within their rights to shut anything down. But now it makes this seem like you have to. Like, if you don't do this, we will shut you down type of thing. And it seems aggressive. I'll actually quote High Fight from this. And he had like a great perspective that I really agreed with. In the way this approach felt. And it's like, I get what they're doing. They're trying to make things easier, but it comes across as something much different. Biggest problem with the guidelines is that it screams, if you do not follow this, do not run the tournament. Instead of, we want to encourage community tournaments, here is how you do it.
Okay, yeah.
And
their delivery needed work. That's a big thing where it's like, look, if you're looking to run a tournament, motherfucker, you need to read this. As opposed to, hey man, did you want to run a God damn it, a Street Fighter tournament? This is what you got. This is the steps to take, man. Right? Yeah, exactly. And they give you this article where it's like, you do this shit or you're done for. It's like, fuck.
this is it. That's why it doesn't sound like this would make running an event easier. If anything, this makes it feel like it's harder. It makes it feel like it is a pushback from Capcom. Almost like, okay, there are way too many fucking people running way too many tournaments, right? There's way too much stuff going on, and it's getting out of control. There was a strip club live stream last night where they were doing drugs and having sex. It looked like a great time. But they had a Street Fighter tournament and they were broadcasting the Street Fighter tournament. What the guys? The town meeting, Capcom. We got to do something about this. I watched a live stream last night where they were stripping and having sex.
Unrelated. Where is that Street Fighter tournament?
And doing drugs.
Asking for a friend.
We got to make some guidelines. This is crazy. But it's not, that's not the case. Like, there's really not like a ton of insane Street Fighter events for me to feel like that this should be this way.
No.
However, there's a good reason why this is probably happening now. And it's because Street Fighter 6 is on the horizon. That there is a future.
They want to lay their groundwork.
They are setting up for these guidelines to already be in place, and they're going to.
Right, Evo's in Vegas. I keep getting. When do we find out the Evo 2022 lineup? When do we find out? March 8th at 5 p.m. Pacific time, so I'll be 8 Eastern time. 5 days? God damn it. It's on a Tuesday. All right.
Try to figure out what they are and how they are going to manage that with a much bigger game potentially. Routing back, here's my big problem.
Hey, Fantasy Strike, you want to start putting in your bid for Evo?
Capcom fighting
I will
games
play in that.
in general have not escaped.
I will replace
the past
Guilty Gear Strive.
10-year stigma that has absolutely littered.
I say that now,
any
I would get
Capcom fighting game
dummied
franchise since.
beyond bronze, I
It
think.
has gotten close with the end of Street Fighter V, right? We've sort of gotten there, but the public perception, right? The perception of people about Capcom fighting games isn't that they're this glorious, like super high up on this pedestal sort of thing, right? Where it's like, man, that final season of Street Fighter V really did it for me, brought a ton of people in, made the community bigger than it ever was. No, all it did was just make the established Street Fighter players happy, right? It just made people happy that, oh man, this finally feels like a season that people fucking want. So that's cool, but they have not escaped this like weird stigma that even with Street Fighter 6's announcement, which isn't a bad announcement by any means, like a lot of people are immediately insanely aggressive and against it, and that they have very good reason to be. Over the past 10 years, every single release of Capcom that is a fighting game, I'm not talking about not fighting games, Capcom on the opposite fighting game division is doing beautifully well, right? Beautifully well. And it feels amazing to be a Capcom fan right now over the past 5 years, right? 5-6 years. But
I think what he's about to say, and I think he's trying to get to say this, and I want to say this myself. Dude, don't do this to devs. Devs work so hard. God damn it.
ever since Street Fighter Cross Tekken, and for a little bit Ultimate Marvel 3, every single Capcom fighting game release has given its player base, if not fan base, if not casual audience, reasons to make them speculative of whether or not this is a good thing or am I going to get ripped off. Cross Tekken had the DLC thing. Street Fighter V had a complete different set of problems that happened when it came out that made people really mad and offered like no content. Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite came out, fixed problems that Street Fighter V had, but then had a whole new brevity of problems that pissed people off completely. And now we're at a point where finally there's another Capcom fighting game half a decade later, and we're getting an announcement for it. And guess what? People are like, I wish I was excited about this, but I don't know. And I don't blame people for that. So it's weird for me that they're trying to like choke their community out in some way when it's literally like all you have, right?
Yeah,
Like,
but
why do
to
you
add on,
care if
sorry.
some small
You are
town-
correct in the chat there, Slash. Capcom is very quickly losing their pedestal on the fighting game crown, or the fighting game pyramid. Like there was a time where they were here, but there was also a time where they had so goddamn many titles. Now they have Street Fighter. Technically, Arc Systems Works has more active fighting games in the FGC with Dragon Ball Fighters and Guilty Gear Strive, right? So, Capcom, what's up, bro?
Middle of Albuquerque is running a Street Fighter.
The other thing though is when Street Fighter comes out, it always kind of
like it's all you.
Street Fighter is the top dog in jail. He comes in and he's like, "That's my brownie," and just takes it off your plate, and there's nothing you can do about it because he's bigger than you. That's the attitude they're walking in with. But right now, not the time, man.
Have at this point, because they have not escaped that stigma that has surrounded them. People still make fun of Capcom fighting games as being like the crapcom element. It is not escaped yet. I really disagree with this, right? And don't get me wrong, I get blamed and accused for being the biggest Capcom fanboy and apologist of all time, but also being a huge Street Fighter hater, because I don't see Street Fighter 5 in like a black or white, like Street Fighter 5 bad or Marvel Infinite good. Like I see things with a gray area in between where like some parts of Street Fighter 5 are actually super sick, but a lot of it is not, man. And I feel like the exact same way about Marvel Infinite. But those things that are in that gray area is a huge point of contention for the community, if not the casual.
As far as fighting games are concerned,
anyway. I feel like Capcom fighting games as a brand is in a spot enough to be really picky. No. If that's, maybe it's just me. It feels like maybe a whole bunch of other fighting games are able to be, like Smash, for example, and the way they were acting last week, they can essentially act however the hell they want because their games are doing so good and there's so many characters and 30 million copies sold or some crazy shit. But to me, it does not feel like they should be stepping in and micromanaging and all this stuff. Like they are a giant esports brand in the same vein as like Valorant or League.
Yeah,
like,
they're not even close.
I don't get it. Like, I genuinely don't get it. So
I'm also gonna add this, and Coney may have brought it up in one of his videos. These big tournaments have sort of been surviving on the back of Smash, not on Street Fighter as much these days. Smash brings a lot of fucking players. It's kind of crazy when it comes down. It's a big fucking game. And with Smash not an Evo this year, like, I really hope the fighting game community is kind of pulling together and getting the people out there. I've noticed that there's a bit of a behavior turn on a lot of the general communities. Like, let's get people in here, man, because we're losing the Smashers. It's going to smell better, but we need more people.
Release this statement, which followed up because
I'm sure it'll be fine too, and they'll adjust for the numbers.
I do see the sides in between where they
just want to be among those numbers this year
to allow you to run things easier. I see that some places, but then you keep reading and it's like, what? Like, we can't do like it feels like instead of allowing smaller events to exist, especially people that don't have giant esports money, it feels like they want to shut those things down. Yesterday, they published a new Street Fighter 5 community license agreement, yada yada. Our aim was to make running an event easier. When Tues have contacted Capcom about running events in the past, the approval process has taken a lot of time. We want to make the rules clear and allow for much faster approvals. We've also been keen to build tighter relationships with Tues and encourage safe spaces.
If they can deliver on that,
everyone who has sent us feedback this far,
everybody be like, okay, maybe we overreacted.
Team to follow up with more updates soon. Well, good.
But that's the part they need to.
I hope it changes
to deliver on.
If there's one thing, and I'm being super real here. If there's one thing I could want more than anything right now, this has been the case for, I'm not even kidding you, chat, since like Street Fighter Cross Tekken, Street Fighter 5's launch. It's been over like half a decade. I just want people to like Capcom fighting games again. Modern Capcom fighting games. Classic Capcom fighting games are different, right? You talk back about the older games, like going back before Ultimate Marvel 3 and whatnot. You get a lot of like wonderful reverence and community like wonderful history and legacy and all these things that like, oh man, that feels so good. That time was so awesome. Like that kind of stuff, right? Everything before Street Fighter 5 was like a little bit like that. Street Fighter Cross Tekken, and maybe not as much. As a Capcom fighting game fan, I just want to be reintroduced to that situation again, right? I want to like have fighting games that are as games themselves captivating, engaging, and good enough to be compared to the other giant fighting games that exist now and actually make people happy. So the game is good, and then the community events that grow around it, because guess what? A game is good, then the esports thing just naturally sort of happens. Fighting game communities just naturally grow around a game being what people want, right? You're going to get competitive Souls games, for Christ's sake. It doesn't matter. That is the nature of fighting game communities.
I'm thinking about sorry, I'm totally blanking on the idea of, can we do this? Can we do either a Dark Souls fighting game or competitive Souls as an esport? But yeah, if you make a good game, everybody kind of comes around it.
At one point, or at any given point before they turn into an esports, they start from like a grassroots element and then they grow up. So I get it. They're trying to set these guidelines in place, but I don't feel, based on the past 10 years of fighting game Capcom history, that it's necessary, if not feels anything but like a pushback to those communities in some way. I really don't like it. Until Capcom fighting games, until the games themselves are able to be put upon such like a high.
Competitive Mario Kart is why that Mega Horn exists, eh? You know that Mega Horn item that you can get in Mario Kart 7, 8? No, it's 8. 8 and 8 Deluxe. I don't know if it wasn't 7. It was the DS version. I don't think it was. Because you know what that big Mega Horn does, right? It doesn't just blow a horn and make people go, "Bah!" It actually blows up the blue shell if you time it correctly. And that the competitive community for Super Mario Kart, or for Mario Kart in general, begged for that. They wanted that so fucking bad. Some way to deal with the blue shell.
Pedigree, right? Until they're able to be put on this insane pedigree that it seems like they're setting up for, like the Valorant / League / StarCraft or Dota or whatever the hell people are playing now, or whatever the fucking Fortnite shit kids are playing. I don't know. Until it's up there with those and reaching big numbers like those,
not going.
This crazy micromanagement stuff doesn't make any sense to me. And all it does is create, once again, more stigma.
So, that's what Capcom's doing. They're stressing everybody out right now. Excuse me. Now, apparently we're just running fighting game drama day today.
Let's go!
Did we already see his thing on Nintendo?
I guess we should address this because that's a big deal. Like, granted, just to give everyone's perspective on where the hell I am on this, I am not into competitive Smash, but I respect the shit out of it, right? I completely respect the fact that all these games and everything that they do is not something that I'm really into, much less I enjoy very much. I enjoy casual on an absolute casual level, and I have been historically that way for a very long time. But I know those games are tough as hell to be good at. It's the perfect example of easy entry and then difficult barriers to actually be really good at them, and that's awesome. Smash Melee especially. And the interesting thing to me is that as Smash was introduced into EVO again, it was there when I first started going to EVO, by the way. Like in the late 2000s, Smash Brothers Brawl was at EVO. It just wasn't that big. It had not turned into something nearly as big as it was. So long story short, the reason EVO got so big, I'm gonna break it to everybody right now. Fighting games absolutely got bigger, right? But as soon as like Smash Brothers and the general fighting game communities sort of like merged and they sort of built off each other, granted, not a ton of the Smash community is going to jump ship over to regular FGC games. That doesn't happen super often, much less does like, well, actually, I think that regular FGC definitely crosses over into Smash, right? I think there's definitely moments where people like me will enjoy Smash for a variety of reasons because it's just a brilliant game that has so much in it to love.
Always remember, you're often the anecdote as a always think about yourself as an anecdote until you find a large conglomerate of you, and I'm talking large. Yeah, exactly. You are the anecdote. You are the exception to the rule, as they say. But how long was the shower you had to take? Sorry, that's such a beat up joke. I shouldn't tell it. It's such a lame ass joke. But it's low hanging fruit, and I don't want to fucking reach too high today.
There's going to be some cross-pollination because of the event structure, you know? Essentially, Smash being big at events and getting a whole bunch of entries will allow other bigger, cooler stuff to happen in the future for events. Just because there's so many more people attending. There's so many more attendance and brackets. There's so many more things just happening at an event. Long story short. EVO was absolutely the same way. I'll tell you right now, I will tell you right now, as soon as Smash was sort of like reintroduced to EVO and Melee started being a thing at EVO again, and then obviously Smash 4 and Smash Ultimate, yada, 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 all these things 100% are the reason why EVO became bigger than ever. You would like to think that it was just Dragon Ball FighterZ, or it was just Tekken 7, or it was Street Fighter 5, or, you know, whatever, or Mortal Kombat. You would like to think it was all those things, but no. The biggest reason why EVO and a lot of fighting game tournaments and events and the FGC in general has grown so much over the years is because of Smash Brothers. Smash Brothers had such a wide audience of people playing it and a ton more people that were willing to go to these events as a result, that the events were allowed to grow and get bigger, and that Smash was the reason that is.
If anybody ever wants to see, and this is a cute little anecdote, if you ever want to see what I kind of envision as the difference in what Smash brings in to other fighting games, go to a WizKids branded World Championship. See how many people show up for Dice Masters, one of their games. See how many people show up for Attack Wing. And then see how many people show up in that building to play HeroClix. And HeroClix will be your Smash Brothers. And and let me tell you, Dice Masters World Championships, I think, was run on maybe 4 tables. 4 players showed up for Attack Wing World Championships, I believe. I honestly considered just turning to one of the guys like, look, I'll throw all my games, but I want to be top 5 in the world. I don't even know how to play the game, and I'll just pass every turn. 5th place will just sell the prizes. Why not? It's worth it.
Essentially happened, right? You gotta give Smash credit. They allowed EVO to become bigger than it ever had been. With that being said, getting Smash into EVO back in 2000, either it was 12 or 13. I remember making videos on this of Nintendo being absolute shitheads, and them having to work their ass off essentially to allow Smash. There was a huge amount of stuff. There was so much drama around it.
Nintendo has always had that crap that Capcom has, except with without tournament rules. It's just being a pain in the ass to get your event with them.
Literally like 10 years ago. Just getting Melee to be at EVO was a big deal.
Nintendo's always been 100% that bitch.
It's like, you know what? I'm not into this, but this is bullshit. Like this is some bullshit. This game should absolutely be allowed to be at EVO. Cut to February 2022. EVO is about a month away from announcing their next games. The big games that will be frontlining EVO 2022. Whether, I don't know, it's going to be in person or online. I don't know anything that's going on. I haven't been able to be a part of EVO ever since this pandemic started, but EVO has been a big part of my career and my fan base and everybody that knows what we do and everybody that follows fighting games. Like, I am super lucky that every time I go to EVO, I get to hear from literally like hundreds of thousands of people that they would never have known.
Nintendo being run by old people is the most apt and it's just the most Nintendo thing, especially with the way the company operates. It's like, you want to do what with our game? Fuck, you already bought it. What else do you want from us there, bud? Get the fuck off my lawn. What do you mean you want to run a tournament? What the fuck's the matter with you there, bud?
About this stuff. So it's incredible that EVO's like the compendium for all that Smash or regular fighting game alike. But we pretty much learned today that Nintendo's not cool with it. And you know what? I'm not surprised at all. I'm really not. We essentially found out that among all the announcements that are going to be at EVO for 2022, it's confirmed from Nintendo that Nintendo is out of EVO. They do not want their products to be officially hosted in tournament form, and they are literally saying that you cannot have Smash hosted at Evo. There has to be an approval process for that, right? There has to be you have to get the okay from these companies for it to be a showcase game. And
Smash Brothers has got to be the most grassroots game. Nobody talks about the fact there's Smash Brothers tournaments running all over the place all the time. They don't bother asking Nintendo anymore because they already know what the fucking answer is going to be.
anyway, it doesn't have to be like a main, the final.
I can't think of a time Nintendo was after the NES that Nintendo was ever up with the times.
Here's the reason why, which is even bigger.
Even then,
why Nintendo can be
like they had mega antitrust issues in the NES days, especially with their licensing.
So goddamn frustrating. Like I can't tell you any company out there that absolutely hates its fan base for older games more than Nintendo. I can't. Like there are a few companies out there that are pretty rough, but in terms of like finding ways to support people and support communities that have existed for a long time, they pretty much are only about you and the new stuff and none of the old stuff. This starts not even a couple years ago with the whole Slippy thing with the rollback netcode being added into certain games. This goes all the way back to Smash Brothers Brawl, which was modified with Project M. Like there are so many things of just Nintendo bringing down the ban hammer on people just having fun with old games. And it's like, why wouldn't you just let this? We're not even like doing things around it. Like people aren't even trying to make direct like crazy profits out of it. They're just like, no, just don't touch it. Don't touch it ever. The only thing that has happened lately that is a big stir is that Panda is doing some official stuff with Smash, which makes me feel that like Panda essentially took it away, but I doubt that's the case. I don't think they deserve any animosity from this in any way. What really happened was that Nintendo said no, and I'm assuming it's because Evo is a different entity than it was years ago. Evo is a much different show.
Sony product.
It's essentially sponsored / run by Sony. Like it's a Sony event now, and they've
not just sponsored, it's owned by them.
even said that Evo will still completely be host to Microsoft games, to Nintendo games, to whatever platform they're on. We are not limited to what games are going to be here. Here's like the minds.
They're not fans of it. I'm sure of it. If they found out about it, they'd go after you. And part of that is that, and the thing that gets me on that one, and I'm less upset if they go after the Kaizo guys because they sort of sell that product, right? Like, you can buy a copy of Super Mario World. It's called your Nintendo Switch Online account, right? Or your Super Nintendo Mini, right? And then Mario Maker, exactly. They got Mario Maker out there. You can Kaizo the shit out of your Mario levels now with their own stuff, right? And put it on our system. Go for it, guys. Go get them. And that's, I think, why if they'd be more likely to go after those nowadays with the existence of Mario Maker 2, right?
Set that essentially kicks in.
Now, them going after Project M, that's bullshit. Because they ain't doing anything with Brawl. They're not doing anything with Melee. Fuck off.
In my opinion, I'm not saying I'm getting into the brain of Nintendo executives or anything like that, but here's usually how things work. Nintendo goes like, hey, these guys want to use our game to promote their event to make it bigger. That's a Sony thing, Nintendo says. Huh. Sony wants to use our characters, our product, our game that we spent money on, and they now want to make it a part. They essentially want their Sony event to get blown up.
To kind of double back, the Kaizos are mostly run out of like emulated copies of Mario. Like they take an emulator, put that online. They're not usually run off of cartridges, right? I mean, I've seen Kaizo cartridges because I roll in those crowds, but
by our Nintendo games? Nah, how about no? Before you were sort of like technically a community run thing, but now that Sony's involved, that is not, you are not You bitches, you ain't gonna make money off our characters.
Mad respect for those guys that do that.
Here's the really crappy part. If Nintendo,
Old ass video game code is disgusting.
let me just think here for a second. Smash has essentially been effectively done for a few months now, right? Like the game is technically content KO'd. It's done. And the only thing you have that you could benefit from the franchise going forward is if you were to allow people and support communities that played your old games. If you were able to support the communities that played your old games, in my head, that seems
We got there.
like that would
How do they
be
feel about it? They hate it.
avenue
Why?
for people to
Emulation.
buy the game again, if not people to invest in the game
Only
again.
one person is allowed to
me,
create
that seems
Nintendo
like,
emulation, and that's
once again,
Nintendo.
you allow a community to thrive in some ways by essentially just like all you have to do is this. All you have to do is be like, you know what? We're gonna be right over here. We're Nintendo. We're gonna be right over here. You guys are gonna do your thing. You know what? Cool. But you know what? We're just gonna step away. See you later. We'll see you next year. Bye bye. You know, like that's all you had to do. You just had to go, okay, sure, and just maybe.
Oh yeah,
charge
Pandas
some
Who,
money to do it,
Small
and
Ant, and God, there's such a big organization now.
they just get to
Coney's
be
part of
fans
Panda.
the game and be relatively supported, right? No, they're gonna shut down shop because Nintendo has always had this crazy huge stick up their ass about their intellectual properties used in any way that was beyond them, right? Unless it's like, and especially if it's competitor based, they've always been they're at this huge stick up their ass around this stuff. Simmons will tell you, I can't wait to have a conversation with Simmons about this because we're essentially reliving the exact same conversations that we had 10 years ago when Melee was trying to be at Evo. It is so crazy to me how Nintendo can be so insanely against itself when it comes to the communities of their games, right? This should sound super familiar because I feel like we're just repeating history all over again. So I think it's really unfortunate. It'll unfortunately have an impact on Evo because once again, the Smash Brothers audience is a fairly big, fairly unique audience that will not really drip into other games too much. It really won't cross-pollinate that way. In fact, it's the other way around. In fact, I think FGC events will actually cross-pollinate into the Smash scene a bit more because obviously people that play fighting games in general will see Nintendo games and this game with all these crazy characters and be like, you know what, that looks fun. I'm over here playing Tekken 7 and I'm willing to play another game with terrible fucking netcode. You know? And that looks fun. I'm gonna deal with that. So to me, it
Pew
makes
pew.
no goddamn sense. It makes no sense that they would be this way. But in the same way, it makes a lot of sense because this is the way Nintendo has always acted. Nintendo will always find a way to piss off their community. And I've heard this from community members, lead community members of these games, people that either run YouTube channels or are big hosts of events and have been doing this stuff for 10 plus years. It's hard to find any other competitive community in terms of the fighting game community in any way that seems to detest its fan base more than Smash. Nintendo really feels that way. Like they're too big. It feels like they're too big to give a shit. It sucks a massive asshole. I truly feel for the community of these games when they get absolutely thrown under the bus in these situations. I get it. I mean, I get it. You guys have been hearing this directly from the Lord's mouth himself. I hate to break it to you, but you've been hearing it almost directly from Sakurai's mouth himself for a long time. And even Sakurai, around the release of Smash 4 for Wii U.
This is about to get weird. Give it a second. Actually, let's see if I can't. Do that fast enough? Did it fast enough. Okay. Sorry, there's going to be a monitor flash, but I figured it out.
That he's just creating a game that's fun when he's asked about like the competitive elements. And he would essentially tell people, if you wanted to be like good at fighting games, I'm para-quoting here, but it was something along the lines of, hey, if you want to have like your competitive game, Smash is a different game. You should go play Virtua Fighter 2. There was like literally a quote from Sakurai saying that. And because Smash was never intended for this stuff, has become something that's so big.
Sakurai's gotta feel bad Just like, God damn it, I made a party game where people punch each other and you guys started taking it so fucking seriously.
And so crazy and so competitive and have such a huge community of people following it, they almost don't know how to handle it. And to be honest, I feel like Smash Ultimate is the ultimate testament to the competitive community of Smash. Like, they have like the big numbers, like 2-1. Like there's so many things in Smash Ultimate that feel like it is designed to be appealing towards the competitive audience in many ways, you know? So I think it's like that's as good as it's gonna get. It really is. It's almost them acknowledging the fact that, hey, we got a pretty big competitive audience. You know what? Let's make our 1v1 modes be super feature rich and have really good readability and all this stuff, because we know that there's gonna be a ton of people watching. Like, that felt like the best they could do. But in terms of the actual marketing, in terms of the actual approach from executives in the Japanese branch, much less the American branch, being super competitive with Nintendo games and not having just anything but a jolly old time is pretty no.
Remember, Sakurai is the developer, Nintendo's the publisher. The developer did their job, they did a great thing. The publisher are the assholes in the situation.
Oh no, that does not fall under our super family-friendly branding type thing. That is not what lines up with the perfect picture. This perfect, like...
This is the hard part about being a game developer.
Family. Even though their games, their competitive games like Mario Party and Mario Kart and all this stuff just breed the most like insane toxic shit. It's like the games specifically are super cutesy and beautiful, but they try to piss you off so much, like they really do it. It's a funny, weird ass relationship with a lot of like competitive Nintendo games.
There was a game.
Long story short, and I'll say it again.
He's talking about how angry you get playing Nintendo party games and whatnot, and how it doesn't fit into their thing. There was a game I was surprised was not a Nintendo-made party game called Dokapon Kingdom. The game costs so much to buy now, but I think we played it on the Wii. And there was a consistent element to that game where one person, we played with 4 players on a regular basis. One person got to be the miserable fuck the entire game. Yeah, it's like Mario Party meets Final Fantasy. It was outrageous, it was hilarious, it was great. But one person in every time we played it had the most miserable fucking experience the entire time because something fucked them early game and they could not crawl back from it. It was torturous to some players. Always one player, every game. 3 players having fun, one person is sitting like, fucking hate all of you.
Happen, but it makes a lot of sense, and that's super unfortunate. It makes a lot of sense why Nintendo would say, hell no, we're not doing this.
Alright, we're going to go a little overtime because I want something to end lighthearted because it's been misery all day today.
Fellas,
Also, I'm angry because I want to replace my copy of Dokapon Kingdom, and it is now, like, on secondary market over $150. It might have even gone further than that lately. It's fucking ridiculous.
gotta be honest. I've seen a lot of discourse on the internet over a long period of time. Smashers this, Smashers that. Smash is a real FGC.
Oh yeah, by the way,
Smash isn't a fighting game.
This is called Why the FGC Hates Smash. This is very lighthearted. We're gonna get there. Don't be quick to be like, oh my god, I'm offended. Just let him talk because he's a Smash guy.
Why do we care about the FGC? Smash is huge. Listen, I know how to settle all of this. I know where it all comes from and how to stop it. This is the video that you should be watching because I know all of the reasons for why the FGC hates Smash. That's what I'm here to tell you. So EVO 2019 is when this all happened. Keep in mind, this all happened in one day. Okay? I want that to be in the back of your mind as you watch all of this, as this is gonna be a lot. So let's set the stage in case you guys don't know. The FGC is the fighting game community, and their Super Bowl, the biggest fighting game tournament of the year, is a little event we like to call EVO. EVO in Mandalay Bay in Las Vegas, Nevada, is the biggest tournament of the year. And the first reason that the FGC hates Smash. Smash players don't know shit. I'll never forget. Early 20
Remember, you're the exception to the rule, Slash.
I got the call from a mysterious figure known as Chris Seg. He calls me up on my phone. Here I am. And he says, Cody, I really need you to come to EVO 2019. I said, of course you do. You need Smash there. How else are you going to bankroll the hotel? You need that Nintendo money. Of course, yeah, we need the Smash audience. And I need you to be there. I want you to commentate Smash Top 8. But I also want you to announce Dragon Ball FighterZ Top 8 and Unist Top 8 while you're there. You sure? I don't know anything about those games. Yeah, I want you to do it, because you've done this stuff before. Also, I'm gonna need you to be on the jump off. Essentially what the jump off is it's a beginning stream for EVO where they have all the different streams mixed into one. And they have 4 people standing at a desk and talking about whatever game is up. And the idea is...
I'm going to say this right now. What he's about to say, I feel for him so fucking hard. Because, like, I can talk a little about Guilty Gear Strive. I don't know it enough to really kind of commentate on it, but I know the game. And I know a little bit of Fantasy Strike right now. And I know a little bit of King of Fighters. Right? I don't know if I can hold a conversation about King of Fighters. But I can probably... I know some words, and I know how the game operates a little bit. And I know Street Fighter V too. So...
If you're watching EVO for 1 game or 2 games...
They don't do them all at once. They'll pull and be like, hey, what's going on in this game? And they're going to talk about this game, and they're going to come out here, and they're going to pull from this one, and they're all going to have a comment about that one.
You can see all the games in front of you, and maybe get interested in some more. I land...
It's like the advertising stream.
This beautiful, wonderful place. This pool is amazing. It's incredible. I show up the next day at the jump-off, right? And here I am on the jump-off, looking young and chipper and bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, ready to go, okay? And with me are 3 pillars of the fighting game community, okay? I did not know that I would be up with such esteemed guests. I'm not short. I'm not even the shortest person up here, so relax, okay? There's Ryan Hunter, Hell Pockets, and in a hosting role, Giuna, also known as the Anime Illuminati, right? So this guy knows his shit. He's on top of the world with the anime fighters. These 3 are legends in the scene, right? I am a smasher who clearly did not get the dress code memo. I was a new sign to Panda, and I was like, this is what we do, right? I'm supposed to wear...
Yeah, Anime Illuminati knows his
I'm trying
stuff.
to represent for the team. But this is strike 1. I've already made a terrible mistake. But whatever, you know? It's okay. I'm on the desk now. We're gonna talk about the games. So anyway, we start getting into the analysis. And a game comes up. And it's not Smash Brothers, but it's Street Fighter V. There's no Ken or Ryu, so I'm already kind of fucked. I'm a little screwed here. Because, like, even if I don't know the...
Hey, it's Karen and Ibuki.
I get how Zangief functions, you know? I get how Dawson functions. He's sort of the archetype. And they're going around the desk, right? Everybody's talking. Giuna is talking about 56K versus Gino DeCampo, how much this means, you know. Ryan Hunter interjects with his history of matchup knowledge, talking about how Karen is a very dominant character in this meta right now. She's very strong, you know, very technical. A lot of players have seen great success with her. Hell Pockets jumps in, talking about how Ibuki is a bit of a more difficult pick, but at low level, she can really stomp people and really keep them out. And then the flow of conversation naturally goes to me, and Ibuki has needles, and she's gonna throw them. She wants to keep Karen out. Giuna is like, yeah. Okay. Sure. It had nothing to do with Sheik. I just saw the projectiles, and I played some Third Strike, and I was like, oh, okay. She has needles and projectiles. Giuna, as gracious of a host as ever, tries his best to pivot the conversation back to the actual game. Junior is doing the best he can. Next up is another game. Uh-oh. Not only is this not 2D, it's an arena game you can ring out. I've played Soul Calibur once ever in college. I won a tournament with me and my friends, and I...
He's about to blank out on yeah. And I don't know anything about Soul Calibur like him past one. It's Violet has showed up as an advertisement because they used her tits to advertise it once, but that's all I know. Oh no, sorry. I know Soul Calibur also had Spawn and Darth Vader and Yoda at one point.
Played a guy named
I had the Spawn
Raphael
system.
and he just says, "Time to perish." And I mashed that button, and I beat all my friends for $50. So, again, we start off this conversation with Giuna, who admittedly, at the time, I think he didn't know much about, Soul Calibur, not as much as his other games, but he deferred to some of the other people on the table. So he starts talking a little bit, setting up for Hell Pockets interjects, talking about how these two match up and what that means, and talking about how the whip weapon is going to be super good, and she's going to try to keep her at range, and blah, blah, blah. Ryan Hunter interjects with a little bit of his own experience in Soul Calibur, and again, I think you could tell the sort of rhythm to this. I feel the tension of having to add something too. So I open my mouth, and I'm like, that lady's naked. Yeah. Yeah, that's a naked lady, Coney. She does have clothes, but she is mostly naked. So after this spot-on analysis, I'm in shambles. I want to fly home. I don't even want to stay in Vegas anymore. I don't deserve... I'm about to do top 8 of the game closing Evo, and I don't know shit about these two. It can't get any worse, right? How much worse could this get? Much worse. Not only is it an anime fighter, it's a tag game?
This is Blaze Blue Tag. Actually, I own this one. I found out recently. I gotta pop it open.
Oh, I know there's like points and battery characters, and their happy birthdays. That timer is all the way at 123. That seems high. This big-ass guy is hitting full screen.
Blaze Blue Tag, yeah.
Immediately, Giuna's ready to, oh, this is my shit. Anime fighting game. This is what I love. He lives in Japan, He's talking at length about this game. Okay? How much he knows about it, and Waldstein and Yukiko, how they're such a
Maybe
great
we'll play it
pair.
on a Monday
And
or
you can
something.
see they already knocked down
Or a Saturday,
Yuzuru,
depending on how
right? And it says down.
Amber's schedules are looking lately.
Yuzuriha is
She's been
still
pretty
up.
good. Well, I mean,
She's
this
gonna
week
have
we don't
hard
have
time
a stream
against
on Friday or Saturday because we're
and
going to go
Ryan
away,
Hunter's
but...
so excited. He talks about Waldstein just so annoying for a lot of players because he's so huge and the hitboxes are massive. And then Hell Pocket steps in, bro. I can't.
In his defense, how many games were part of the EVO 2019 lineup? We have Street Fighter V Arcade, Tekken 7, Dragon Ball Fighters, Blaze Blue Cross Tag Battle, Soul Calibur 6, Under Night in Birth EXE, Under Night, Samurai Showdown, Mortal Kombat 11, and Smash Brothers. I want to know how much time he had, because he seriously could have done a little bit of fucking research, right?
Can't believe they're pulling out the Yukiko Waldstein combo this early. This is such a treat to watch. And I think to myself, oh fuck, it's my turn. And I'm like, that's a big character. Uh-huh. And the big character wants to get in, but the small character wants to keep him out. You think so, Cody? You think that big character who's attacking from full screen has difficulty getting in? Yeah. I at this point, I gave up at this point, okay? Samurai Showdown came up, a few other games came up. I just did my best. Giuna carried me all the way through. I did the best that I could, okay? But again,
I want to
it's very
find
clear
this
Smashers
jump
don't
off
know
and just
shit
watch
about
him
other
crash
fighting
and burn.
games. As a rule, we just don't. I'm the ambassador on here, you know? Think of this like United Nations. I have the Smash thing on my desk, and I just fuck things up for our entire nation. And it's not helped by this next fact, and I swear to God this is true. Remember how I said that I came a little overdressed? After the first commercial break, I get flagged over by some people on the production team. They're like, Coney, you gotta change. They're like, yeah, you're wearing a sponsor jersey. Evo sponsors, like, we can't have Panda sponsors on the screen. I'm like, okay, that makes sense. I thought it'd be fine because players have it, but I totally get it. I have to change. But the problem is, I don't have another shirt. The walk back and forth from my hotel room back to here would literally take half an hour. Mandalay Bay is huge. What do? They give me this hoodie. This is for the production team. I'm humiliated. Look at them laughing at me. I've already been subjected to harassment.
I actually believe Panda called them or like, get that jersey covered up. There's no fucking way. No, not a chance. No. I'm not letting this motherfucker embarrass us anymore.
On the live stream. Now Jayuna, Hell Pockets, and Ryan Hunter are having a grand old time just giggling in my face. All these Omega laughs. I thought at this point that I would lose my Evo top 8 spot, but you know what? I was okay. I was fine, but it became very clear Smashers don't know shit about other fighting games, okay? And also, listen, if you're watching this on YouTube, I do this live on Twitch, so you should definitely check it out live on twitch.tv/Coney. The VODs channel is already dead, so you're not getting content that way. So, you gotta show up live now. Otherwise, you're gonna miss me screwing up and they cut it out of the video. You'll miss all the funnies. So, check it out on the stream. Next, I get off of Jump Off, change clothes, and get ready for the next thing. The next story is about how Smash players are weird. This is the second reason why the FGC doesn't like Smash. Now, this one's a little bit shorter, but I swear to God it is absolutely true. I finished Jump Off, and my next duty is to announce Dragon Ball Fighters. What I have to do is essentially introduce it to the crowd. You know, this is Dragon Ball Fighters Top 8 at EVO 2019. Very excited to do it. Now, you may not know this about me, dear viewer, but when I think, I pace. I walk back and forth. And I'm thinking in my head all the things that I want to say. Live from Mandalay Bay in Las Vegas, Nevada, it's time for the Dragon Ball Fighters EVO 2019 Top 8. You got to get the place, the location, the game, the event, right? And as I'm doing that, a member of production notices me and comes over. Hey man, are you okay? Yeah, what's up? What's wrong? I don't know, you just seem kind of nervous. Are you nervous or something? Nah, man, I'm fine. I'm just, I'm thinking. And when I think, I sort of pace around. I'm thinking about all the things I want to say.
This next part's
Are you
great.
sure you're not
I
nervous
don't
at
even know how
all?
to
'Cause you
brace
seem really nervous to me.
or
Somebody
add
else
to
can
this
do
right now.
If you want somebody else to do it. Nah, man, listen, I've done this a million times before. It's just when I'm thinking about stuff, I just want to pace around and think and talk a little bit more. Listen, man, you're giving off a lot of nervous energy. I don't know if you want to do this. If you don't want
This is going somewhere.
to do this, listen, somebody else will take it over. It's totally fine. Then another woman who's with him steps up and is like, yeah, you seem really nervous. You're giving off a lot of nervous energy. And at this point, I'm like, guys, I'm fine. I'll be okay. I'm not gonna fumble this. I just do this when I think. Okay? I got it. It's fine. The production guy and the woman go back. It's now my turn, right? The camera's on me. I'm ready to go. I have the mic. I'm standing up here. I'm ready to announce, ladies and gentlemen, live from the Mandalay Bay in Las Vegas, Nevada, it's time for your EVO 2019 Dragon Ball Fighters Top 8. Nailed it. Perfect. Literally spot on. Got nothing wrong. Okay? Right after doing it, immediately after, somebody walks up to me. I don't know who this is. This is just a random guy. Coney, great job, but it's actually Fighter Z. Fuck! I got everything else right! Come on! What do you mean it's Fighter Z? I should have asked.
It's fighters,
Son of a bitch.
by the way.
Okay. Thank you for telling me, Stray Gamer. The rest of the event goes off, okay? And we do the whole top 8. The whole top 8 finishes. It's all the usual suspects: Sonic Fox, Goichi, blah, blah, blah. And I get ready to do the announcement of all top 8. And I start to do it, go through all the names, easy peasy, not hard at all. Knock it out, and I say, everybody, give it up one more time for your EVO 2019 Dragon Ball Fighter Z Top 8. What happens after that? Another fucking guy comes up to me. Hey, great job, but it's actually fighters. You've got to be fucking kidding me. No way. Are you... I looked it up. That guy was right.
Can you imagine? You fucking try to figure out what the fuck this game is called?
Unless he edited it. I don't know if he edited the wiki or what, but if he did, the first guy didn't fix it yet. So the second guy was right. I'm gonna blame this on Bandai Namco. I don't know why they did that. That was foolish. Also, there's something that I didn't tell you guys. Do you guys remember this production guy? When I was talking to him, I was thinking to myself, I really feel like I've recognized this guy's voice. I've heard him somewhere, but I can't remember where. And I was so in the moment and thinking about what I was going to say. I'm like, this production guy, I think I know who he is, but I couldn't tell off the top of my head. This isn't just a production guy. This is Majin Obama. I got trolled by Majin Obama. I got tricked by Majin fucking Obama asking me if I was nervous over and over. And now,
So, that whole thing where it's like, are you nervous, bro? You look nervous. He looks nervous, doesn't he, right? He's like, yeah, you look pretty nervous. You okay, man? 100% troll.
like, oh, son of a bitch. He set me up. That fucking guy set me up. I can't believe he did that to me. And if I knew at the time, I would have laughed about it, but I was like, why is this production guy giving me such a hard time? What the fuck? Majin Obama. That's my president. All this goes to show
That's my president.
Players that are about to announce your top 8 pacing around like they're about to give a dissertation or some shit. It's a little weird. Smashers are weird. That's the second reason. And the third and final reason that the FGC hates Smash is that Smashers are fucking stupid. I want you to keep in mind that all of this happened in one day. Those two things already happened. This is the same day. I'm getting looks from everybody in the backstage. They're like, that fucking guy, that guy doesn't know what he's doing. So the last deed I have to do this day, okay? I have to announce Eunice top 8.
All one day of EVO
Now,
2019.
Eunice is, it's this. Under night, in birth, EXE, late CLR, last night at the dawn, a young man shows up. Hellfire burns down the surroundings. The ice coffin quickly I'm not reading all that. This is a very long game name. I go backstage to figure things out. And I see a familiar face back here. Why, who's working production on a laptop, but everybody's favorite stream gremlin? Hanzo Godzo!
Good
It's
music.
Hanzo Godzo here! Hanzo's awesome. He's very, like, he gets stuff done very quickly. He's very reliable. Hanzo's great, okay? So, I go up to Hanzo, and I'm like, hey, so can I just call it Eunice? He's like, yeah. I'm like, whew.
I'll be right back. I want to check
Thank
something.
God. Got that out of the way. I don't have to, oh, man. Imagine if I had to say the whole thing. So he tells me that I could just say Eunice. Just say Eunice, troll face. Listen, it's not a setup. I can trust Hanzo. So I go backstage, and I'm like, can I just call it Eunice? He's like, yeah. They give me the microphone. I say, hello, EVO 2019. It's time to start the Eunice EVO 2019 top 8. Whatever. I nailed it. I've already done it twice already. I do it right the third.
Okay. I'll look it up. I don't actually have the game. I thought maybe I accidentally had the game.
These are pretty much all Japanese players. This is what the bracket looks like if you look it up right now. If you go on google.com,
Pretty small game?
searched,
Like
EVO
digital only sort of thing?
2019 Eunice top 8. This is what you'll see. Clear Lamp, Oshuhito, Hishigata, you know, all in English, right? That's not what I saw. I opened up the bracket on Smash GG and I saw
Under night in birth.
this. Uh-oh. Okay, I think that's Oshuhito.
Oh, would have been a Steam game. Okay.
I know how to say clear lamp, but do I say the O? Clear lamp O? Neji, fine. What is that? How do I say that? Oh no. I don't want to be wrong again. Okay? So I go up to Hanzo. I'm like, brother, I'm in a lot of trouble. Hanzo, could you please help me? And Hanzo is
like, okay, you need to announce the players for this tournament. Hey, here's your bracket. Bro, I don't know how to read kanji. What am I looking at here? Where's Anime Illuminati? Where is that guy? Where is he?
yeah, sure. Here's what we'll do. There's a woman here that can help us. And essentially what she can do is translate the Japanese names into phonetic English. So we're going to write them down. So when you see some of these names like Kure.
How do you know you need... I mean, okay, they probably knew. But how do you know that there's a need for that position in the world? You know what I mean? That is such a niche job. I'm glad she has it.
It's just Kure, right? Phonetically spell it out so I don't screw up the announcements. And the woman does a great job. She writes it down, and we start going through top 8, okay? I get her to tell me how to say it phonetically. I write it down. Perfect. Excellent. And I keep this bracket, which I'm starting to, fill up over time. I keep it on me at all times, okay? Because Lord knows I can't lose this thing. So anywhere I go, the bracket goes. But eventually, nature calls. We're in top 3. I need a break. I set the bracket down on this box. And now, it's time for a quick pee break.
We all know where this is going now.
I had a lot of water. I'm very good at aiming. I've got excellent aim. All the way from over here. I pee. I wash my hands. Oh, shit. And I come back.
In your pocket.
And I go back to
Front
my bracket,
breast
only to
out pocket.
find-
Oh, yeah, no, he's in his jersey. Back pocket at all times.
Uh-oh. It's gone. Where did my bracket go?
Handcuffed to your wrist.
No. That was the only thing standing between me and total humiliation. I'm like, oh God, what will I do? I could go to Hanzo and ask for help again, but Hanzo's very busy and I don't want to bug him. So I'm like, oh fuck. And I start pacing again. I'm doing this. And I'm doing that thing where you try to look like you're not bothered. I'm like, oh yeah, I know where the paper is.
You okay? No, yeah, everything's fine. Don't worry about it. Where the fuck is that paper?
I'm just walking around backstage. I'm just walking over here. I'm walking back behind all this stuff. I'm going all over the backstage area.
And you know, you're going in all kinds of weird places, and people are like, bro, are you alright?
Be okay, right? I am a bit nervous this time. I'll give it up. I have no idea where this paper is. Maybe it's back in the bathroom. I go back. Nope. Not in the stall. Not on the thing. I start searching. The main Evo hall. Oh God. Where could my paper be? I can't ask anybody because nobody knows what the fuck I'm talking about. I start looking around Mandalay Bay itself. I'm in the lobby of the hotel looking for this piece of paper. I'm like Winnie the Pooh at this point looking for honey. Maybe it's at the casino? Maybe somebody made a nice paper airplane and flew it around. Maybe it got picked up in a gust of wind in this ballroom with no windows and no doors. I'm out on the Vegas Strip looking for this. I could be in a Pixar movie. I can't find this shit anywhere. I'm down here walking along the Vegas Strip. eventually, I am beset by sadness, right? I'm beside myself. I come backstage, and I am just absolutely humiliated. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I walk back here, and hat in hand, I know that I'm gonna have to talk to Gonzo again. I know we're gonna have to talk, and I'm gonna have to be like, listen, man, can I get another list? I don't know how to say any of these names. I'm totally screwed. And I don't want to bug Hanzo, because he's busy, so I go back up to the woman, and I'm like, hey,
Lost the
do you know where
list.
the piece of paper went? I know I had it, and I was carrying it everywhere. I don't know where it went. Can you please help me with another one? She's like, oh, it's over there. What? Yeah, I moved it when the bracket started filling up. I just put it on the table. Alright. I had looked everywhere.
Just walk out of
for the
Vegas,
fucking
just
piece
go.
of paper. It was sitting right there the whole time. And you know what? I get it. I'm glad that she took it, and I'm glad that she filled it out. You know? Thank God it was there, and thank God it was filled out. I get the bracket. I go out in front of the Eunice top 8, and I announce every single competitor with perfect precision. Excellent diction. But I have no doubt that everybody in that venue knew exactly why I was so screwed. I think everybody, I think literally everybody in the crowd was like, that motherfucker lost his paper. This smasher, this dumb piece of shit is
Nobody knows that. Nobody knows he lost his paper, but he's thinking that.
walking around with no idea where he put the most vital instrument to his success. And you know what? That's really the end of things. That's really it. I got through the rest of the day. I got to close out EVO 2019, got to wrap it up, finish Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. It was great. But it did remind me exactly how much we do not belong at EVO. I mean, you could always talk about how much we bankroll
Nintendo thought the same thing, apparently.
them and how they have to keep Smash to keep the lights on, but that's a different video entirely. I think it's pretty clear based on my experience that Smashers probably don't belong at EVO. And I'm gonna take a lot of responsibility on this. I think I screwed things up for a lot of people. And I think it's not a coincidence that Smash has never been invited back to EVO. Did you guys notice that? Smash has never been back at EVO. So I feel personally responsible, like I did it. So to me, to the FGC, to the Smash community, to everybody involved, I would just like to say, once and for all, my bad. That's on me. Thank you guys for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed. Remember to subscribe, and I'll see you next time.
I just realized this video was made in 2021. Smash wasn't there in 2020. I did not realize this. Interesting. Huh. Alright, anyway. That's it for the night. We ran a little overtime to get that video in because we needed something lighthearted because there's a whole lot of misery going on. That said, just take a moment, play another game of this fast. You know what? You should watch. I'm not gonna play it on here because it's not really worth it. But watch his Salty Bet compilation. They're fucking great. In that case, tomorrow night, Elden Ring, Get Good or Get Fit. Oh, we continue to hunt things down because this is what we've killed so far, and apparently we got lots more to go. Slash, thanks for sticking it out with me. Have yourself a good night, and Elden Ring, Get Good or Get Fit tomorrow night. Goodbye.